It's Anton here, and today I'm in the park. Anyway, who cares?
Donald Trump is in a full blown panic mode right now over the midterm elections, and he is showing it. Now, you've probably seen recently that Republican approval ratings are dropping drastically. But more importantly, in ruby red areas, they are losing special elections, sometimes by double digits. And that has the Republicans looking for answers, and Donald Trump has come up with one by suggesting that they have a midterm national convention as a way to try to drum up support and get people excited to vote for them come 2026. But this is all because of you, because of your efforts, the work that we're putting in to make sure that we can take back some of the power from Republicans and Donald Trump and give it back to the people. But we have to keep this pressure up. We cannot be satisfied with just a few wins because Donald Trump and the Republicans see that they are in trouble and they're going to do everything they can. And while it's fun to watch them panic and run around, we have to remember all gas all the way through November.
Trump's executive order revokes every single state's certification for federal elections. He's saying that not one state in this country is able to hold a federal election at this time. He's requiring that every state's system go through the certification process again with the new requirements that he's just making up. Now, this is going to be challenged in the court, but basically he wants to give access to his billionaire buddy to every single voting system in this country. And he's setting things up so that he can disregard any state he wants. He can choose not to certify their systems, and then their votes don't count. This is insane, and this is the worst part of the EO. This is him dismantling elections in the United States of America. Call your state legislators and ask them what they think of this EO and what they're planning on doing. Because if he starts to decertify states and requires them to get his approval, how do we know he's going to give it to every state? He's just going to choose which states he wants to count, if any.
And guys, correct me if I'm wrong. There is no president who has ever won the House since World War II. I don't believe so.
About fighting crime. This is about Donald Trump searching for any justification to deploy the military in a blue city, in a blue state, to try and intimidate his political rivals. This is about the President of the United States and his complicit lackey, Stephen Miller, searching for ways to lay the groundwork to circumvent our democracy, militarize our cities, and end elections.
That's it right there. End elections, militarize our cities, and end elections. Somebody is finally saying it. Somebody with clout, somebody who is aware of what's going on. People in independent media have been saying this. We have been saying we're very concerned about making it to the midterms, but somebody is saying it. It is so important that we message this wide and for a very long time, because that is their intention. Their intention is to not have elections.
I'm calling it now, and I want you to save this video so you can come back to it later to see if I was correct. Donald Trump is going to use martial law to try and suspend elections in the 2026 midterms and likely the presidential election of 2028 as well. Now, why do I feel he's going to do that? Well, he's already laying the groundwork by showing that he's perfectly willing and happy to take over U.S. cities, to federalize National Guard, and essentially turn our cities into police states and essentially Donald Trump-controlled war zones that he can use to try and take power. And when the midterms come, Donald Trump is going to declare a state of emergency. He's going to have some type of chaos implemented in the country. He's going to say that our cities are under attack by illegal invaders. He's going to say that the radical left lunatics are trying to steal the election. Therefore, an emergency must be declared. Martial law must be declared. We can't let that happen. That's why it's so important to keep up the momentum that we're seeing in places like California, where they're planning on redistricting in order to counter how Republicans are trying to rig the election. So please share this video so more people are aware this could happen. This is a very serious threat. Do not take this lightly. Fascism is on the rise in the U.S.
When a frog comes out of water and tells you that the crocodile is sick, you better believe it. I believe that the frog. Because when the Illinois governor tells us what Trump is planning, better believe him. Because he has intelligence. He has the intelligence to know what Trump is planning.
Democrats are sick of mind, hate our country, and actually want to destroy our inner cities. And he told ICE and Homeland Security and the State Department to target these core bases of democratic power. I just can't emphasize how crazy it is to hear the President of the United States call all Democrats radical left that are sick of mind and hate the country. That is some wild shit, y'all. And I was asking earlier today, what do you think he's going to do now that he's so pissed that no one showed up to his birthday party? I mean, this is pretty much the answer, right? He's fanning the flames of you-know-what. That is some inflammatory language, if I've ever seen it coming from a president. He said even before yesterday that he wanted to liberate the city of Los Angeles from its Democratic leadership. It's democratically elected leadership. Liberate the city of Los Angeles from the mayor and from the governor. But we're so conditioned that this is our new reality that we kind of forget how insane that actually is. All of it. The President of the United States just went on social media and dehumanized 50% of the population and basically said out loud with his full chest that he's targeting Democrats, specifically targeting Democratic cities. So when are we going to be allowed to call this what it is on TikTok without getting a community guidelines violation? You know what it is. I know what it is. They won't let us say it or talk about it. But we know what this is. We know what Donald Trump is calling for.
Is there a connection between Trump sending the military and National Guard and ICE into Los Angeles and Washington, D.C., and his recent announcement that he's going to abolish mail-in voting and voting machines? Absolutely, and it's bad, really bad. Trump is going to use the military, National Guard, and ICE to disrupt the elections in 2026 and 2028. How am I so certain of this? Well, I'm an American historian, and I can tell you that it's happened before in America. The only difference is that previous subversions of democracy were carried out not by the U.S. military, but rather by state and local law enforcement. Take the period known as Reconstruction that followed the Civil War. The late 1860s witnessed a revolution in which black men gained the right to vote, and for a time, America operated as a multiracial democracy. But this democracy was soon crushed by force through what came to be known as the Mississippi Plan. First in Mississippi and then across the South, armed white supremacist militias affiliated with the Democratic Party, along with local police, sheriff's deputies, and other members of law enforcement, attacked Republican political rallies, killing hundreds of African Americans. They also threatened, assaulted, and assassinated political organizers and candidates. The result? Tens of thousands of terrorized African Americans stayed away from polling sites, and Democrats swept to victory and reestablished whites-only rule. Trump's version of the Mississippi Plan in 2026 and 2028 won't need to employ much or even any violence to succeed. First, Trump would need to establish that he can make demonstrably false claims about an insurrection in LA and a crime wave in DC to deploy the military and National Guard against American civilians. Check. Next, Trump would need to ramp up his false claims about the 2020 election being stolen by the Democrats, who, he says, plan to commit more massive fraud via mail-in ballots and voting machines in 2026 and 2028. Check. Then, since it's clear he has no intention of leaving office in 2029, Trump would need to start joking about having a third term, even though the Constitution prohibits it. Check. Then, as the election approaches, all Trump needs to do is create fake election fraud crises in swing states and purple congressional districts to justify sending in the military and National Guard to arrest election officials, surround polling sites, seize ballots and voting machines, and stop vote counting. At a minimum, soldiers could set up checkpoints to make it hard for voters to reach polling sites on Election Day. And let's not forget about ICE. They could be unleashed to terrorize Latino communities and drive down voter turnout. Trump probably hopes mobilizing the military and National Guard against American citizens will distract the public from the Epstein files, Ukraine, and inflation. But Trump's real objective here is to stay in office forever. Let's say it together, people. It's a 5-alarm fire and our democracy is burning. The only question is, what are we going to do about it?
Today, August 11th, 2025, I think is going to go down in history. Like what Trump said this morning when he said, when they spit, the police are going to hit, and they will hit hard. It means that they want to incite violence so that they can then inflict violence, which means like this is an inflection point in the United States. Like what he's doing in DC, we're all saying it on here, but I'm just almost like at a loss for words. Like it's so hard to even just speak on this because it means that all of these checks and balances have essentially failed. That, oh, well, Congress should do something. Well, they didn't. Oh, well, the judicial system should do something. Oh, well, the Supreme Court is in Trump's pocket. Oh, well, we need to call our senators. They're not picking up the phones. Oh, we need to peacefully protest. People are dying in these centers. People are dying in Alligator Alcatraz. Like, people are getting upper respiratory infections. They are not getting their medications. They're innocent people. I just feel like we've been indoctrinated to be like, well, just trust in the process, trust in the system. But the system only works if both sides of the system have humanity, have empathy, want a better world. We're fighting against something that doesn't want us to exist. Whether you're gay, a person of color, black, indigenous, Hawaiian, Asian, poor, a woman, they don't see you as human. So I asked this question. I was one of those people that asked the question, like, when do you know? You know? And I think August 11th, 2025, like, this is when we know.
So guys, we are witnessing the weaponization of the government in real time. The government is accusing us of doing things that we are not doing, and then they are using that as an excuse to police us more, right? They are claiming that blue states are high in crime rates. Is that true? Because data which, according to national data, red states are the ones which lead with crime. States like Missouri, right? They are the ones which are leading with crime. But Trump doesn't look at that. He is looking at blue states, policing blue states more. California, Los Angeles, Illinois, Chicago. Yeah.
Trump just said, so let me get this straight. If we're at war in 3.5 years, we don't have to have an election. And he didn't say he was kidding. That is what just happened in this room. This is the meeting in the Oval Office between Trump and Zelensky. And we've got J.D. Vance and Marco Rubio and this guy. Marjorie Taylor Greene's boyfriend, the one who attacked for the suit last time, is there. And he asked a question. And we asked if Zelensky is open for elections, if this war is solved. And he said, of course we're going to have an election once this war is solved. The guy's like, I'm ready to be done with this. And then Trump looks at him and goes, so what you're saying is that if we are at war in 3.5 years, then we don't have to have an election. Smiling, looking around the room like, I just solved it. What? And everybody else is laughing in the room. Oh, that's so funny, Trump. I mean, that's in their constitution, so that's different. That's why that's the way it is in Ukraine. I didn't like that. And I'm in the middle of watching this. It's going on right now, but I had to stop what I was doing and come talk about this because what? I don't know. Let me know what you think about this. Was he kidding? I don't think so. I think he's trying to find ways to not have elections. Like he just trying to get rid of mail-in voting now. Anyway, please follow Engage so that this gets out there because that is crazy. And I'll talk to you in a little bit. Okay, I love you. Bye.
So Trump just said he's going to start a war to cancel the 2028 elections, kind of how like Zelensky can't have an election because his nation is currently at war. You don't need to take my word for it. He said it himself during his interview with Zelensky. So I already know MAGA is going to say, well, he's joking. No, he's not. Make sure you go check out my most recent YouTube video covering all of this. It's insane.
Well, the big beautiful bill just passed. Thank you, God. This country was getting way too fucking free. At least now the federal government can monitor and survey every single thing I do with AI and facial recognition and drones. Do you know how hard life has been without that? At least public funding is getting cut and healthcare is going to get streamlined, which means less coverage than there already is. At least poor people will die faster because they can't afford healthcare. At least schools will finally be safer. No, not from guns. Those are still allowed in there, but at least they won't have to talk about diversity or black people anymore. At least asylum seekers will finally get fast-tracked to deportation. Yeah, bro, this is the safest country on earth, but only if you're born here. At least when my health problems are misdiagnosed, I can blame it on a computer rather than a person. At least rich people finally get to be richer. Oh my God, do you know how hard they've had it? At least the federal government has way more power than ever before because who the fuck wants to be free anyways? And finally, half the American workforce will finally be replaced by AI. Thank you, God. Who needs a living wage? What a beautiful country. Who would want to live here?
What made Trump fail to overturn 2020 elections is because of the vice president at the moment. He was a logical guy, right? Yes, he was a logical guy. Mike Pence. May God bless him. What made him not turn the elections around was because of his vice president. And now, what Trump did when he came to power during this last term is put people who he can trust in power. That's what he did. Yes, men. Yes, men. Yes, men and yes, women. Those are the people who he put in power. True. So, when Donald Trump says something that is threatening the democracy of this country, you better believe him serious. Because no guardrails are in place to stop him. Also, Pete Hegseth being asked in Senate if he will follow Trump's illegal orders to send military to blue states. He didn't deny. He couldn't deny. So when Trump gives that order, believe me, no one will stop him. He has placed people who he can trust in power. Not like last time we had logical people who could think beyond political lines what is good for this country. At the moment, no one. At the moment, no one. Last time, you saw J.D. Vance grilling Ukrainian president in White House. You saw J.D. Vance. He was head-to-head with Volodymyr Zelensky in the White House. As if Zelensky was the one who attacked Russia. Yeah? J.D. Vance was very mad at Zelensky. And tell me, at what point have you ever seen Mike Pence speak while Donald Trump speak in the White House during the first term? Mike Pence was always silent. I don't know why. But at the moment, Trump is even giving Vance power to trash talk a foreign president. That means that Trump trusts Vance a lot. And when maybe times comes, it's a debt Vance might pay. Or maybe the likes of Pete Hegseth. Or maybe the likes of, I don't know, Christine Noem, Pam Bondi. They are all Trump loyalists. MAGA, strong MAGA loyalists. So when Trump says that there will be no elections in 2028, believe me, believe him, not me, believe him.